Blacks and other minorities cannot be racist because racism equals power plus prejudice, and whites are the ones with institutional power, therefore only they can be racist, said the sociology major. That's absurd, the psychology major shot back. I've seen plenty of people of all backgrounds express hate based on race. Racism is about individual attitudes and viewpoints. It's a psychological phenomenon that any human being is capable of. No, you're not getting it. Racism isn't just about personal prejudice, it's systemic oppression. Without institutional power, it's just prejudice, not racism. Ugh, you're just redefining words to fit your ideology. Hatred based on race is racism, period. Anyone can hate someone because of their skin color. They stared at each other for a short moment, then the sociology major shook her head. You just don't understand power dynamics. In response, the psychology major rolled his eyes. And you just don't understand human nature. They walked away, each more convinced than ever that the other person was completely wrong. If you've gone through university or have witnessed debates on this issue online, you've likely heard an argument somewhat similar to this one. I use this example because I myself have been in this similar debate in the past, convinced that the other is wrong and that I'm right. But what's actually happening in this is that both the psychology and sociology majors are right. They are both speaking a truth, but they are only speaking a partial truth, thus missing the bigger picture. Now, we will illuminate the full picture of this racism debate later on in the video. I've got a lot that I want to get through today, but I'll say for now that missing the bigger picture happens all of the time in how we view things, and this has significant consequences in how we form our political views, how we communicate with other people, just how we view the world, and also how we approach personal growth, thus creating more division, fragmentation, partiality, and disharmony rather than genuine understanding. And it's only with genuine understanding that we can actually posit real holistic solutions to our own problems and the world's problems. So allow me to introduce the 4 quadrants model of integral theory to better explain what's really going on here. This model represents the 4 dimensions of our experience. You can think of this model as sort of like a mapping technology that shows you how everything fits together and makes sense in the big picture. These quadrants depict our individual interior in the upper left. This is getting at our direct subjective experience of reality, including emotions, desires, impulses, motivations, values, and our worldview. It is our psychology. Excitement for getting a big paycheck, gratitude for someone who does you a favor, awe when you see a beautiful vista are all manifestations of the individual interior of your experience. This is the quadrant that the psychology major was primarily orienting from in the debate from earlier, in that they emphasize the individual psychological manifestations of racism. And so upper left dominant fields of study include psychology, psychotherapy, philosophy of mind, and various meditation and contemplative practices. Now moving to the upper right, we have the individual exterior of one's experience, which includes our physical body and our behaviors. It includes looking at things in a more objective sense, what can be observed, measured, and studied from the outside. When you experience excitement for getting that paycheck, there are measurable changes in your dopamine levels. When you experience gratitude, there are observable facial and vocal tone changes that are taking place, body language that is being expressed. Basically, this upper right quadrant is what scientists in a lab could study and measure about you. And so upper right dominant fields include neuroscience, biology, behavioral psychology, genetics, physiology, and pharmacology. And now moving to the lower quadrants, in the lower left, we have the collective interior of one's experience, which includes our relationships, culture, and collectively shared meaning. Really, this quadrant refers to any we space that is inevitably created when 2 or more I's come together. Think about the quality and texture of what your family we is like, your romantic we, the basketball team we, the meditation group we, the study group we, the national we, and the global we. All of these groups have unspoken rules about how to interact, stories and narratives that are collectively shared, and beliefs about what is normal, acceptable, and appropriate within this we space. And to get a little deeper, think of the wonderful feeling it is like to be on the same wavelength with and deeply resonate with your best friend, or to experience blissful lovemaking with your partner, or this feeling of being part of a group that is working towards a greater cause that is going to help a lot of people. These are all manifestations of the collective interior of one's experience. And so lower left dominant fields of study include anthropology, ethnic and cultural studies, linguistics, religious studies, and social psychology. Finally, on the lower right, we have the collective exterior, which includes our environment, the systems, structures, institutions, and social arrangements that we can see and observe from the outside. This includes our natural environment, the physical ecosystems, as well as governments, economic systems, laws, social policies, organizational structures, and all the technology that weaves it all together. And so to get in touch with this lower right space, inspect your clothing right now and contemplate, where did it come from? How did you buy it? Think about how you're watching this video right now. Are you laying on your bed? Or are you sitting in a chair? If so, where did that come from? How was that created? Was it imported from another country? Was it made domestically? What systems are in place that even allowed you to be owning this item in the first place? Did you find it in an ad? Did you purchase it with cash or card? Where was this material 4 billion years ago? How did it transform into the material that it is today? So nature and society together compose this lower right space, and inevitably, as you get more and more in touch with this lower right dimension of your experience, you will begin to comprehend your interconnectedness and natural participation in the world's countless intersecting systems and structures. And to cap this off, lower right fields of study include economics, political science, sociology, urban planning, organizational management, and environmental science. This is the quadrant that the sociology major was primarily operating from in the debate. And so altogether, these are the 4 fundamental dimensions of our experience. And the key insight is that in all situations, in all contexts, these 4 quadrants are arising. You can't have one without the others. And as you're watching this video right now, just notice how you're simultaneously having an inner subjective experience in the upper left, while you're within a physical body with measurable brain activity. In the upper right, participating in the cultural meaning making of learning and personal development in the lower left, and embedded within technological and economic systems that make this very interaction that you and I are having are possible in the lower right. And the thing is, when it comes to personal development, a political issue, or what have you, most people instinctively gravitate towards solutions in only 1 or 2 quadrants. Usually they're comfort zone quadrants, just like somebody is comfortable with just using their right hand over their left hand, and this is precisely where they get stuck. For example, some people only emphasize exterior facts while ignoring interior interpretations, or when someone only emphasizes individual experience and ignores collective or communal issues. This propensity to favor 1 or 2 quadrants and ignore the others is what is referred to as quadrant absolutism, which is a fallacy that prevents us from seeing the full complexity of what we're actually dealing with, which causes us to not see the perspective of others and ultimately makes us less effective in creating real, lasting change, whether in our own personal development or generating cultural and societal change in whatever issue that we're dealing with. And so now back to the racism example. In that example, the sociology major was only seeing the lower right perspective, operating from a definition of racism that goes something like, racism is a system of oppression based on race, requiring institutional power to enforce and maintain racial hierarchies. Now, on the other hand, the psychology major was operating from a definition of racism that goes something like, racism is the internal beliefs, attitudes, and cognitive biases that cause someone to view people of other races as inferior. In their argument, the sociology major and the psychology major were simply just talking past each other, not realizing that both were speaking truth, but only partial truth. And what was described so far in the debate isn't even the whole picture. If we were to add the perspective of the behavioral scientist in the upper right, they would say something like, racism is the discriminatory actions that treat people as superior or inferior based on race, what people actually do to create racial hierarchy through their behaviors. And if we were to add in the ethnic studies professor perspective in the lower left, they would say something like, racism is the shared cultural narratives and collective meanings about racial hierarchy that communities pass down and reinforce. And the sad thing is, without this integral perspective, the people of these different perspectives would mostly just talk past each other and not fully see or only partially see the perspective of the whole. This quadrant absolutism happened all of the time on hot issues like this when I went through college, and I felt virtually no one was truly seeing the whole picture, that they're only seeing 1 or maybe 2 quadrants. And I continue to notice this happening all of the time in virtually any debate or discussion on an issue, whether it's serious or whether it's just small and mundane. So now that we've established what racism is throughout all of the quadrants, we can now come to a truly integral definition of what racism is. And so this goes something like, racism is the devaluation and harm of people based on ethnic group, manifesting simultaneously as individual psychological biases and attitudes, upper left, discriminatory behaviors, upper right, shared cultural narratives that normalize racial hierarchy, lower left, and institutional systems that systematically advantage some racial groups while disadvantaging others, lower right. So now going back to our original debate, when the sociology major says only white people can be racist, well, they're operating from the lower right quadrant and they're correct within that framework. For the most part, whites do have the power and they can be systematically racist over people of other races, whereas other races can't. And when the psychology major says anyone can be racist, they're operating from the upper left quadrant and they're also correct within that framework. The problem was never that one was right and one was wrong. The problem was that both were suffering from quadrant absolutism, saying only their slice of a much larger, more complex reality. So in sum, yes, racism requires institutional power, and yes, anybody can hold racial prejudice, and yes, anybody can discriminate in their behavior based on their opinions about race, whether they see a race as superior or inferior, and all of these are slices of the pie that compose the totality of what racism is. But guys, I don't even intend for the main topic of this video to be about racism. I just chose to use this example because it's a hot topic that I personally care a lot about. But the main point of this video is you and your own development as a human. I mean, look at the name of this channel. The whole reason I am making this quadrants video is to illuminate ways in which your own quadrant absolutism and failure to see the whole picture is keeping you yourself stuck and stunted in your own personal growth. Because I guarantee that that is happening to some degree. It happens to literally everyone. So to explain this a bit more and to use more examples, I'm a life coach. So people come to me when they want to step into a deeper, more true, more authentic existence so that they can just live happier, healthy, more free, and more aligned lives. And so for every client that I have, I always just do a quick scan of the quadrants whenever I'm helping somebody with something. And the classic example that I've come to notice is the people pleaser archetype. The person who is lost in relationships and wanting to make others feel good. And you can say that they have an overemphasis on the relational lower left dimension of existence. And how it often goes is that because they spent so much of their life people pleasing, perhaps they lived the life that others wanted them to live rather than the life that they truly wanted to live, they may not have a deep access to their authenticity. They may not know their top values. They may not have deep access to their intuition because they shut it out for so long. And so this person would be stunted in their upper left individual interior dimension. And so in working with this type of client, the coaching work would include things like helping the client develop upper left capacities, values clarification and alignment, developing discernment on what an authentic versus inauthentic desire is, developing trust in the calling of their heart, cultivating mindfulness and present moment awareness of what actually is happening in their experience, in their body, in their emotions, in their mind when they habitually people please. And then of course, working on expressing this greater authenticity out into the world in their behaviors too, which of course is an upper right endeavor. And also, to use another example, another type of client that is common, that comes to me, is the client that is navigating a powerful spiritual opening. They've undergone a powerful change in how they view themselves and their world. Their consciousness may be more free. They may feel more liberated from their ego. They've undergone a powerful upper left interior shift, but they realize that in this shift that their entire life was previously governed by their false self. And so despite having undergone this powerful interior shift, their life on the outside, the exterior, still largely reflects the life of their old self. Their career is out of alignment. They feel that their clothes they wear might not be authentic. They feel that the type of food they eat might not be in alignment with this shift. They may have all these behaviors and somatic patterns that are so ingrained in them that they find it difficult to break free from. Maybe they still chronically watch porn, or they can't stop unconsciously smoking weed despite knowing in their spirit, in their soul, that it's not good for them. And so in working with this type of client, I would design a program for them that emphasizes the exterior quadrant, which is about getting this greater inner felt sense of authenticity and spirit to actually start reflecting itself in their behavior and in the world. We'd be looking at things like habit formation, helping them step into more aligned health and wellness practices, maybe helping them design an integral life practice. See my video titled The Ultimate Personal Development Blueprint for more info on that. It's one of my best yet least watched videos. And then if they desire a career change, then we'd be looking at how their unique gifts and influence can fit into the larger system, into the larger fabric of life. And so we do contemplation and strategizing based on that. Or maybe we'd also just analyze like how their environment is like holding them back from this greater sense of authenticity. But again, this quadrants perspective is so important because I see so often, especially with more spiritual people, that they think they just need a shift in their beliefs in the upper left, thinking, oh, I just need to remember that I'm free, to just remember that I am God, love, and light. And I'm not denying that that shift would help, but state change like that usually is temporary, and often what someone actually needs is structured habit formation and behavioral change that makes them feel happier and healthier. Oftentimes they just need to be in an environment that nourishes them more. And of course, because all the quadrants are different dimensions of the same reality, they are all connected, and everything would combine perhaps to make them feel more free, to help them remember the love that is their true nature more and more and more. But to remember that and feel that, it doesn't just require a shift in belief. It requires a change in behavior, environment, and in the we spaces that you find yourself in. So every issue in life is a 4-quadrant endeavor and needs to be treated as such, yet virtually no one is really thinking about it this way. And so they go about their personal development in a fragmented way, and they find themselves with stunted results. So these are just a couple case studies on experiences that I've had in my coaching practice. And yeah, so this is how the quadrants can be applied. But to think about you and your experience, I want you to feel into your life right now, conjure up an issue that is near and dear to your heart. Maybe you want more money. Maybe your career is out of alignment. Maybe you feel terribly inauthentic and you feel you're living this false life. And as you think about this issue, just notice what quadrant your mind immediately goes to when thinking about why you have the problem and thinking about what a solution may be. Do you think, I need to work on my mindset? That would be upper left. Do you think I need to take different actions? That would be upper right. Do you think, is it about the people around me or the cultural expectations? That would be lower left. Do you think the system is the problem? That would be lower right. And so your default quadrant can reveal both your strengths and also your blind spots as well, because, well, as I've said earlier, just like people are born either right or left-handed dominant, people also favor 1 or 2 quadrants just like they favor their dominant hand. Again, this can be a strength, but can also cause you to overlook other quadrants that may contain the keys to actually helping you reach your goals in a truly full spectrum, holistic way. So continue to hold that same issue in your life that is near and dear to your heart. And now here on the screen, I'm going to show you some key capacities that one can develop in each of the 4 quadrants to make themselves stronger in that particular quadrant. Take a look at it for a second, maybe you can screenshot it, but give it a thorough look and do just a quick intuitive scan of what capacities that you can develop within yourself that would help you reach this goal or solve this issue. Now also do a quick intuitive scan of what strengths in a general sense you may have in your life that you can lean into to help build and accelerate your life and help you achieve your goals. And also do a quick intuitive scan in a general sense of what your weaknesses are that may be holding you back in life in a variety of ways. To use myself as an example, I've always had quite strong upper left skills, strong vision and purpose, clear values, high self-awareness and mindfulness capacities, but over in the upper right, I wasn't always as strong. For the longest time, my energy would often be scattered. My habits would be out of whack, and I didn't always reflect my individual felt sense of authenticity in my actions and in my behavior because, in a lot of ways, I was scared. That's gotten a lot better over time, which has also circled back to this upper left quadrant to make my felt sense experience just a lot happier and more free. I developed greater trust in myself, and what was holding me back in my habits and actions allowed my purpose and vision to expand even more. And so with this, my upper left capacities expanded even more with developing the upper right. And there were also other times in my life where my environment was just shit, honestly, and everything was cluttered, and that made me feel terrible and worsened my ability to show up in all of the quadrants. So just with all of these examples, guys, are you seeing how all of the quadrants are connected? Are you seeing the importance of how every issue, whether it be personal or political, needs solutions that emphasize all 4 quadrants? Are you seeing the cost of what not emphasizing the 4 quadrants entails? I hope you are seeing this, and as a final exercise, I want you to write down the issue that is near and dear to you, the one that you thought about earlier. And so for the sake of example, I'm going to write, I feel inauthentic. I feel like I live behind a mask. Others never see the true me, and even I sometimes don't even know the true me. I want to feel free. I want to take off the mask, but I don't know how. Now, to contemplate this as a journaling or self-reflection exercise, open up your fellow ChatGPT or Claude AI, type in this written down issue that you have, and give it the prompt, using the 4 quadrants of integral theory, generate me 5 self-reflection questions for each quadrant that will help me see my issue more fully. And so I typed this very prompt into Claude AI, and this is what it generated. And if this is an issue that you yourself are working through, definitely screenshot this. And so I thought that the questions it generated were pretty good overall. If it was me that was working with a client, I would contemplate on my own certain questions for them that are a little bit more pointed and specific based on my knowledge and their unique situation and my understanding of their personal psychology. But guys, this exercise is super, super great. It's like literally a fucking life hack that I'm giving you. You know, like the juice of what leads to truly full spectrum transformation is what I'm giving you right now. So just please make use of it. So now that you have a solid understanding of the 4 quadrants and how to apply it, now go out into your life and start actively trying to see the quadrants in all dimensions of your life. Think about the 4 quadrants in every personal issue that you have, or every debate that you find yourself in, or when you watch political updates on the news. Think about how the things they say and the solutions they put forward may be quadrant absolutist, and seek in your own life to be less quadrant absolutist. Because when you're quadrant absolutist, you operate from a partial and fragmented perspective, and that causes a lot of problems. You become less effective and potent in your own life, and when you bring this into the workspace, into politics, into whatever it is, quadrant absolutism causes stunted growth and development and just perpetuates general disharmony when there's not resonance among all of the 4 quadrants. So often, to use another example, the politically conservative solution to things, and I hear this so much, is just something like, hey, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, just work harder, and then you'll make it. And this is overemphasis on the upper right, and then simultaneously they have like literally zero systems awareness and mostly just deny the existence of the lower right quadrant entirely. And then a common thing I see with more liberal people is getting into this victim mentality about how the system is so messed up, and then they use that as an excuse to basically just like whine and complain about why life sucks, and it becomes like falling into this nihilistic mindset about things. And very, very often that can just lead to like hedonism and like not really like living like a really vital, lively life, and you just pursue pleasure because you think life sucks and you have this nihilistic mindset because you're living in victim mentality. That happened to me when I was much younger. But anyway, using the 4 quadrants really allows you to see reality more holistically, and holism is intrinsically a good thing. Nothing in life operates in isolation, and consequences arise when we think in fragments. This is why someone might go to therapy for literally fucking years trying to work on their inner world, but then not getting much results because they're just stuck in this toxic environment that makes them feel like shit and keeps perpetuating the same things to keep happening over and over again. This is also why I made that solar punk video a few months back, because I found in the solar punk movement that they really only emphasize systemic and collective solutions toward bringing about this beautiful solar punk reality that I personally am really inspired by. And virtually no one was talking about the inner psychological development that needs to take place as a species before we could even begin to inhabit a reality that resembles anything like solar punk. So we need to see through the 4 quadrants like really, really, really badly if we want to make this world a better place and if you want to make your life better. But anyways, guys, I don't want to speak on this for too much longer. I've said pretty much everything I want to say. And if you resonate with this video, if you resonate with me and my energy and this framework as a whole, and are just looking to step into a greater, deeper, more true version of you, you can see more information on my coaching and mentoring pinned in the comment section. That's all I have for today, guys. I hope you have a great day, and peace.